Welcome, Climate Viewers. It's Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News at ClimateViewer.com. And there's been a lot of talk, people talking about Chinese directed energy weapon satellites over Maui during the Lahaina fires. And apparently they did math. So we know that's a thing. Math is a thing. But can math be wrong? Can everybody just be really addicted to spooky stories? That and a whole lot more in today's show. We're going to talk about a guy named Steve Favis. Anyway, who's making the rounds, and apparently everybody seems to be jumping on board and sharing the same old thing. And as some of you may have noticed, I've been MIA for the last 2+ weeks. And that's because if you don't care about me, you might want to go to the bathroom real quick. Just going to take a second here. Over the last 2 weeks, I quit smoking. I do not have nicotine stained fingers any longer. They are perfectly Jimmy colored, which is miraculous. So I was losing my effing mind when I interviewed Dr. Shiva. For any of those who saw the Dr. Shiva interview, when I looked like I was about to pass out and throw up simultaneously reading that intro, that's why. I have come back to sanity slightly. My agitation level may be up there, so if I do drop the occasional F-bomb, which I'm trying not to. I'm really trying not to, because stupid really brings it out of me. But we're going to talk about Maui once again, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, directed energy weapons. But we're going to be realistic. That being said, if you're watching this anywhere else, if somebody's hijacked this video, downloaded it, pasted it in your bathroom stall, and you're wondering who the hell this guy is, you can find me at ClimateViewer on YouTube, or go to ClimateViewer.com. You can go to that connect.climateviewer.com, and you can find all of my websites, links to all of my socials, and maybe even help a brother out, because it's tight over here. It's tight. Very tight. That being said, let's just get right into it. I'm going to start before we get right into the article and just mention something that you may not have seen, and that is on ClimateViewer.com. I wrote this back in 2018. Now, I've updated it a couple times. I probably should update it again, and I probably will. That being said, interestingly enough, like if you scroll past, like how directed energy weapons work, the future, weapon circa 2025, the directed energy professional society, all that good stuff. All of the guys, the peoples that are involved in this sort of thing, the Booz Allen Hamiltons, BAE Systems, all of the usual crowd. These are the people that make the things that go brr. And, all of the different institutions around just America that are involved in developing directed energy weapons. You keep scrolling down, and there's this great paper. This is the active denial system. These are space-based, solar-powered beams from hell. Let's just put it that way. There's Bernard Eastland's Thunderstorm solar-powered satellite. Solar-powered satellites, microwave transmissions from space, directed energy weapons from space. Not exactly what we're talking about here, because this is all about lasers. But the point I'm trying to make to you is this. You come all the way down here. There was this this is from 2011, which is called the Joint Non-Lethal Weapons Directorate. It's been renamed since, but this reference book basically went over all of the different directed energy weapons of 2011. So you had things like the LRAD, MRAD, and then there's MAD, which is just the scariest one, the microwave acoustic device, which literally just is like a voice of God, you know, talks inside your brain, inner ear, directed energy weapon. The active denial systems, which just cook people, they're people cookers. Basically, this is like a 5G people cooker. What are you going to see that's in common here? Non-lethal unmanned aerial vehicle, high-powered microwave. So HPM on a UAV. That's a lot of acronyms. Radio frequency vessel stopper. Airborne active denial technology. That's in like the side of a C-130, obviously, right there. Laser-based flow modulation, using lasers from like F-16s to heat the wings and change the direction, be able to literally remote control a plane by heating the ailerons and stuff like that. But this is where we get to the point of what I'm trying to make. Almost all of these systems, compact active denial technologies, and then solid state active denial technologies. Almost all of these, and then when you get into lasers for like ocular interruption, I have one of these, you know, green lasers for like blinding people. The thing about these is solid state will yield a more compact subsystem for combining the functionality of an existing active denial technology, gyrotron, antenna, subreflector, and beam transport into a single unit that will drastically reduce size, weight, and cost. The point I'm trying to make is that with almost all of these directed energy weapon systems, you got to have a power source. And what we're going to see in the, you know, current conspiracy that's floating around is that bruh's math is not there. Okay. It's just not there. It's not even close to there. You know, I love a good conspiracy as much as the next person, but I'm just, what's that? Yeah, he's flipping crazy. Okay. I'm here to tell you that putting a 10 million watt directed energy weapon in space ain't a thing. Let's just see what they had to say about it. We'll go to the tail of the tape. So this is from Greg Reese, the Reese Report. And this has been reposted like everywhere. Okay. If you haven't seen this already, I'm pretty surprised you haven't. Anyway, Steve Favis is an expert in computer science and advanced robotics. Hold up, fact check on that real quick. Let's see his resume. Okay, so yeah, he did work for a robotics corporation, robotics, intellectual property holding firm, at your home computers. Okay, so he pretty much has the exact same resume as me, except he worked in robotics and, yeah, I do cybersecurity, forensics, offensive cybersecurity, infosec, 3D digital art, yeah, game development. I did that too. Computer science. Yeah. Okay. So he's a nerd who also did some robots. What this has to do with directed energy weapons, I have no freaking clue. But apparently he weighed in on that. So that's directed energy weapons research here. Like right at the top. Like if I had my resume and I was like seriously trying to get a job in advanced robotics, that'd be the last fucking last thing that would be at the top of the page. But anyway, so he also confirmed that the CCP had satellites capable of doing so above Maui at the time of the fires. His works have been published on stevefavis.com, includes everything you need to recreate the findings. The most efficient way to ignite a fire on the surface from a satellite in Earth orbit would be to paint the target in segments by pulsing a laser with advanced targeting systems. To see if this were possible, Favis calculated what it would take to require and create a meter-wide, mile-long fire. Hold your breath, people, because we're about to go knee deep in some BS. Fired from a satellite, the Earth's atmosphere will absorb and scatter some of the laser's energy. Duh. And so the laser would need to be in a wavelength range that minimizes this. The most effective wavelength would be a near infrared range and would allow better transmission through the atmosphere. Blah, blah, blah. The power of the laser would need to be in the hundreds of kilowatts range. All right, here we go. This is the meat and potatoes of it. We're going to focus on this because this is interesting. So the power of the laser would need to be in the hundreds of kilowatts range. And so Favis, based on his calculations on a 10 megawatt laser, okay, so that's actually 10 million watts. Just to be clear, a megawatt is a million watts, so 10 million watts. For reference, HARP up in Alaska was 3.6 million watts, and that was not considering the fact that, you know, it was literally a high frequency radio frequency transmitter, not a light laser frequency. But anyway, we're going to get into why that matters in a minute. Assuming the atmospheric loss amounts to 50%, I mean, you know, if I'm going to do math, and I would literally go, you know, well, like, let's just figure half of the energy's lost. Okay. We'll pretend that's a real thing too. Of the overall power, and only 5 million watts reaches the surface as the 1 square meter beam, it would ignite a fire almost instantly. And then one paragraph later, let's completely contradict what we just said. If this 5 megawatt beam was pulsed across a 1 meter, 1 mile long area in segments, then the time to ignite the entire area would be roughly 2.7 minutes. All right. And this is the level of stupid pandering that I'm reading right here. And it would take approximately 8.8 seconds to melt an aluminum alloy wheel. To melt an aluminum alloy wheel. All right, y'all, let's be real. So, you know, the other day I did the video, you know, talking about the Hawaii real estate channel and the little back tire that was melted. So, yeah, that got a whole lot of attention. I still think it's stupid. But it's really stupid that this guy takes the time to mention that it would take 8.8 seconds to melt an aluminum alloy wheel with a laser from space. I just want to state for the record, that actually makes my argument that I previously made on the last video with Topher Gardner even stronger, because you really believe that a laser beam was focused on that back tire for 8.8 seconds? 5 million watts, as according to him? Come on, man. I know, I gotta believe that y'all aren't that dumb. Like, otherwise I'm just gonna like shut it down, and I'm gonna be like, you know, there's so many dumb people out there. There aren't enough smart enough people left. Just, I'm done. What can I do with this? But that apparently is where we're at. I mean, you just can't make it up. But yeah, he was literally talking about the tire. You know, that everybody was talking about the tire. Ooh, I hit a wrong damn video. I was gonna bring it up. It's right here, and here we go. He talked about that tire, you know, that one right there. What can you say about that other than, damn, bro, are you serious? Like, you really, you really bringing that up? Get the Go XLR out of the way. Bad tire. So yeah, this made the rounds. And it should be like a red flag that the guy would even mention something as dumb as this, Because right there, that rim did not melt and that rim did. So you're telling me that the Chinese, with their laser beam in space, just focused it on this rim for 8.8 seconds. It didn't. This is just dumb. I mean, like, am I crazy? Is it that? Am I just that jaded that is what he's arguing here? Maybe I'm just jaded as hell. I could be. You know, the day we all agree is the day we all could be wrong. But anyway, so here in a nutshell, he says right here, that if 5 million watts reaches the surface as a 1 square meter beam, so that's like 3 foot by 3 foot, being clear, which is the size of that back rim that melted, that it would ignite a fire almost instantly, but it would take 8.8 seconds to melt that rim that we just saw in that picture. Okay. And then he says that it will light a fire almost instantly, but, you know, it would take roughly 2.7 minutes to light a fire, you know, roughly a mile long, in 1 meter segments. 1 meter by 1 mile long. Okay. It's interesting because, like, he went from 1 meter to not, you know, to a mile, not a kilometer. I don't know. I mean, if you want to mix your things up like that, you know, go right ahead. So anyway, he does a whole bunch of math on this page here. And it's like mind screw clamps, just makes you want to throw up. Because people believe this stuff, okay? What is the ideal laser frequency to cause fires and damage metal and biological materials? Answer, all of the above. You want to burn somebody up with a laser, all you need is enough energy density. Let's just put it that way. But regardless, you know, he goes into the individual things, you know, fires, concentrated light, visible light, melting, metal melting, typical visible light. So in both of these cases, these would have been visible according to him. Yeah, Harold Save, the rear wheel was near the gas tank. Gasoline on the fire in the windstorm will melt aluminum at 1200. I know. That's exactly what I said, Harold. Whenever I did the video, I was saying, you know, we had like 80-mile-an-hour winds plus gas. And the only rim that's melted is that one rim right there under the gas on the leeward side where the wind was blowing. It's in the video. You can go watch Backdraft. You can go watch me talk to Topher about it. 2 different videos, same answer. Still same answer. Wind plus gas equal burnt, melted aluminum oxide freaking rim. But that's the silliness of all this. Can a satellite ignite fires from space? Yes. just yes. I mean, come on. We're trying to ignite dry paper, which has an ignition energy of roughly 1 times 10 to the 7 watts per meter squared. And then he does a whole, but here's another solution over here. Learn more about ignition energy here. And, you know, if you can focus the laser onto a 1 centimeter square spot of paper, a relatively large spot for such a distance, the requirement is 1 times 10 to the 7, that's 7 zeros, watts per meter squared times 0.001 meters squared equals 1,000 watts or 1 kilowatt. You would need a much more powerful laser on a satellite, perhaps on the order of several tens or even hundreds of kilowatts. Okay. So he goes through all of this stuff, okay? And I could really bore the ever-loving shit out of you by reading it all to you. I'm not going to. It's already in the details. So if you want to read all this, read it there. Okay, so then he goes, well, how would we make this possible? Number of capacitors required, okay? Maybe I should explain what a capacitor is. Okay, so like, when I was putting in car stereos, I installed competition car stereo amplifiers. Okay. And capacitors are those little things that you see on circuit boards that look like, they look almost like batteries. They usually have two wires coming out of them. They're soldered to the board. Well, in this case, the ones that I were using, they would be like the size of a 24-ounce beer can. And they were 1 microfarad capacitors, or 1 million farad. Let me see if I can find a picture of one real quick. Microfarad. 1 million. Should have brought this up. Yep, there's one. Ooh. Kill you deader than hell. I'm telling you. Let's see. So these are capacitors. These are what capacitors look like. Okay. Just to give you an idea of, they come in all shapes and sizes, but generally, like, you know, this would be the kind that I was using in a car stereo, like the big one right here. I'll go back like this. This is what I was using. Okay. So big cap. All right. Now, what capacitors do? Capacitors, basically, you can charge them up. All right. They store electricity and then they rapidly release it. It's like thunder in a bottle. It's like the bull coming out of, you know, the gate. Okay. So what I would do is I would take 3 1 million microfarad capacitors, and we'd put them in a bank. So there would actually be, I don't know if they even have these anymore. Phoenix Gold triple set. I mean, it's been a while since I've, you know, there's an actual Phoenix Gold set. Bam, there's the one that I actually use. Phoenix Gold, 1 farad, standard capacitor. Oh, they've gotten so much cheaper since when I put them in. But anyway, there's your standard 1 farad, and you take 3 of these and line these up together. And the reason you do this is because the battery system is only 12 volts. So in order to be able to have what's called headroom, because the amplifier has what's called RMS and peak. Okay. This is all going to apply to this directed energy weapon video. I promise. Just a little bit of redneck education so that we all understand where we're coming from. So RMS is like whenever, let's talk subwoofers. Okay. Everybody knows what subwoofers and amplifiers are. So I got 2 18-inch Cerwin-Vega strokers. All right. They're these monstrous subwoofers in the back. And I've got 2,000 watt Phoenix Gold triple Darlington output high current amplifiers hooked up to them. And they're rated at 1,000 watts RMS, which means all the time. However, they can peak much higher than that. So between wattage and voltage and amperage, they actually required, each of them was like I think a 40 amp fuse. So we're talking 80 amps between the two amplifiers. But wait, we're talking a battery doesn't put out 80 amps. You know, you would literally be drawing so much energy from the battery and the alternator that slowly your battery would die because the alternator couldn't keep up. Your headlights would dim. Yeah, right there in chat. But your headlights would dim. So in order to actually pull all this off, I would take 8 separate gel cell marine batteries. All right. So these are marine, boat gel cell batteries, wire them in series, hook them to 3 of these capacitors, and then Legend of Zelda shirt. We got a gamer in chat. No, this is not the Illuminati. I actually got trolled because they said, look at him with his Illuminati shirt on. And I was like, bro, you don't know what the Triforce is? I'm My God. Old school gamer here, guys. I'm 46. I'm almost 47. November 4th, I'll be 47. Anyway, so the point is, in order for, when that, the bass is going boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, 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 and then it goes boom, and it literally drops to like, let's say 12 hertz, which is sub-audible, infrasound. At this point, your body is vibrating, yet you hear nothing. And the amplifiers are going, oh shit. And literally the entire system's going, I need more power, like Scotty in the back of the Starship Enterprise. I can't handle it. We need more power. That's where the capacitor comes in. And the capacitor can shoot all of that extra electricity that it needs for those peaks. Okay? So that's what capacitors are used for. They're used for extremely short but very powerful output of amperage and electricity voltage very quickly. They cannot sustain this for very long. They have to be recharged very rapidly. Okay. So now let's go back to what Dingleberry was saying. Because, without this understanding, that none of what I'm about to tell you would even make any sense. And I think that's why a lot of people are just like, willing to roll with Homeboy's story. So, what do you say? Steve Favis. All right. Let's see if we can get your damn sticky header out of my way. All right. Energy stored in a capacitor. The energy E is stored in the capacitor given by, and then blah, blah, blah. Capacitance of the capacitor. Voltage of the capacitor in farads, in volts. We already went over that. Okay, so he's given what his, math is down here. E equals 1/2 times 1F. We're not going to do all that, all right? But just simply put, he goes, okay, so a 1 farad, has a capacitance of 1 farad and is rated at 1,000 volts. Then the energy stored in one capacitor would be this, or, this. Number of capacitors required. This is where it just doesn't make sense to me, okay? He's literally talking about powering a 10 million watt laser beam in space using capacitors and lithium ion batteries. Now, who the hell believes that the Chinese sent up a satellite that has a bunch of lithium ion batteries hooked to capacitors to power a 10 million watt laser? I suppose they just, charge the lithium ion batteries with big solar. I mean, I'm trying to understand this from his perspective. So there's big, you got big solar panels charging, lithium ion batteries, which in turn charge the capacitors. He says 3,220 capacitors required. Okay, that would generate a lot of friggin' power. Okay, fine. Weight of the capacitors, assuming each capacitor weighs approximately 10 kilograms. See, now he's back to metrics again. I mean, it's like, why would it be a mile long? But dude says, a meter, and everything here is kilograms. It's all metric. I'm just like, this is not how scientists do this sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm just jaded. Maybe it's the cigarettes or lack thereof. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But anyway, Bruh says total weight of capacitors, 3,220 capacitors times 10 kilograms per capacitor equals 3,000 or 32,200 kilograms total weight. So you'd need 3,220 capacitors with a total weight of 32,200 kilograms. What kind of payload weights can China put into orbit? China's most powerful rocket, March 5 family of rockets, can launch 48,500 kilograms. Okay, So that's clearly higher than what he's saying here. 48,000 is definitely larger than 32,000. Makes sense to me. How long would it take a 1.65 electron volt laser with 10 megawatts to liquefy an aluminum alloy car wheel from a satellite? Oh, I'm dead. I'm dead. Like reading this stuff. I have my nicotine patch on. Ariana. I promise. Like religiously. Can I show that on? I mean, I don't know if I can show that. This might be a little risque, but it's right there on the leg. I stick it in my underdrawers. All right. Oh, we must be at that 30-minute mark. Just so you know, YouTube has taken away the ability for you to go live without having mid-roll ads. I tried for 10 minutes straight to figure out a way to turn it off, and the only way is to completely disable monetization whatsoever. So maybe I need to like put no monetization on the video and then wait till the live stream's over with and then turn it back on. I don't know. It's really stupid. But yeah, they took away the ability for you to even do anything about it. Anyway, so like dude's like literally on this stuff, like literally how long would it take to melt a tire? He does all the math on that. And then he goes, would it be visible? Were the satellites there? Here's the tracking information on them. And then, he's got this video here where he shows.
Thank you for watching. If you like this content,
he shows right about here. I think he finally shuts up and lets it happen. But I'll go to this part right
20
here.
p.m.
So right
UTC,
there,
August 8th, and Honolulu, it's about 4 a.m. So that's about 14:04. So this is early morning. So again, as this thing still passes, you can see how fast it's going, and that phase right there.
that is nowhere near over Maui. Maui's over here, bro. That is way the hell out over here. And if you were to actually line that up directly over it, anyway, we're not going to get into that. But this looks oddly familiar. This program he's using. I mean, I think I recognize that. I mean, it's just me, or does that look kind of like it does? It looks a lot like this. I mean, it looks just like this thing. Let's see. Let me toggle the timeline. Oh yeah, it is. It is the same exact same thing. It's cesium. It's exactly what ClimateViewer 3D is. How about that? I should just put satellites on here. I was going to before this video, but then I realized that I really would run out of time. But yeah, this is cesium JS, and you can actually rotate it, and you can see right here, that satellite's actually right about here. Let's do a side by side. How about that? No, I don't want there. All right. So, yeah. Okay. So as we can see here and here, that is like right out here. Okay. Which is way the F out here. It's not over Maui. Maui is way the hell down here. Okay. I'm just saying, you're off by several hundred miles, dude. Not exactly over it, and especially when you're already talking about losing a lot of power.
Between
making it tough for me, bro.
Is enough to start the fires and cause damage, basically.
Clearly enough to start the fires.
Rewind it a little bit, and I'll play it a little closer.
He's going to rewind it, and he's going to zoom in a little bit.
I'll zoom in on this.
Yeah, zoom in.
See the UTC.
No, zoom in on Maui, Dingleberry. Maui's here. Maui's right here. This thing is literally...
And that's about the
rotating this way. It's getting further away as it gets closer to Maui. Anyway, bruh. That's all I can say is bruh. So that's his evidence, okay? His evidence is that, you know, there were satellites. They were Chinese. You can actually just look these up simply by Googling them and going to N2YO. N2YO like tracks everything in real time anyway. So like the exact same thing right here. You can come in and you can see, yeah, it's People's Republic of China, Jiuquan Satellite Center, China, launched July 27th, 2022. And the other one was right here. They're going to be on N2YO. You guys have never heard of this website. It's a live tracking satellite website. Gives the NORAD tracking ID. The radar cross section on these are unknown also, which is kind of interesting. Meaning we don't know how big these are, which means that he doesn't know how big these are. For all we know, these could be freaking like GPS satellites. They could be small satellites, just for doing like reconnaissance. Nobody knows, because it's not public. And I know that because when I looked into it, you can see, that there's also an international,
Hey Jim, thank you for the amazing work you've done compiling the timeline of weather modification and everything else. Respect from the Low Country.
Hell yeah, Low Country. I appreciate you, Kent Woods. Thank you so much for the super chat. God bless you. But you can come to N2YO and you can see all of this information for yourself. And it's currently tracking where they are right now. Just a heads up, if you're in New Zealand or Australia, you might want to watch out because the satellite laser weapon system from China is on its way to you there. And the other one is currently over the Marshall Islands, right behind it, apparently. Isn't that interesting that they are so close together? How about them apples? They are both headed for the Solomon Islands as we speak. Probably going to create an earthquake in Vanuatu or Tonga, because apparently it can shoot that far away. But, you know, if you're anywhere between, you know, Australia, New Zealand, the Solomon Islands, you might want to watch out in the next hour or two because it's on the way, brother. Both of them, same time. Just anyway. So Steve Favis, you know, he found these satellites and is making a big deal. So what I found real interesting was he has this directed energy weapon back page. And what do you know? I must not be the only one who was like shaking my damn head on this, because there's this. What is this effing widget that's like my thing is blocking? Let me hack his website real quick so I can get that out of the way. All right. No, that's the whole page. There's the element. Delete that element. All right, we're good. Now I can actually, now people can see what the hell is going on. Dude, your website is not even responsive. I have to like literally do this. I could literally go body width equals 100% and fix his website, but I'm too lazy. Okay. This is on his frequently asked questions page, and apparently other people have raised hell with him as well. So you have math errors on your lasers page. Oh no, other people are catching on that I'm completely full of crap. That doesn't, excuse me, that's not going to stop him from, you know, getting on everybody's freaking podcast and talking about this. But anyway, engineers are not factoring in CPA or chirp pulse amplification. I do have some typos. It's hard seeing math in text for me. It's hard seeing math in text from you also. I'm working on presentation, and even if my calculations are plus or minus 25%, it still validates the idea that there's enough energy in, for example, lithium ion batteries that can fit under a 44-ton payload to power high-powered lasers from space that can cause devastating effects on Earth. I don't need to show you. Have already see the results from these unusual fires. Really? Now that is, bro, that's evidence right there. I don't even need to show you. I mean, you saw the fires. So like this Steve Favis guy, bro. All right. So now let's pick apart what he's saying right here. Engineers are not factoring in CPA or chirp pulse amplification. Oh, what is that? Is that like what I was talking to you about, the way a capacitor works? How you can get a really high peak, but for a short period of time? Not like 2.7 minutes, like you're saying in your story about how these Chinese laser beams could actually burn Maui down. Like, how about not even damn close? So if you go to the very top of his page, it was right there on his other page on MrRobots.com/lasers, 9/14/2023. Update. I'm updating the math formulas to fit a 40-ton payload of capacitors. It seems to work out. Waiting for feedback from engineers. Also, don't forget about CPA method of lasers. Okay, let's click his link. CPA. What the hell is he talking about? Chirped pulse amplification. Oh, what is that? That explains everything. It was invented to circumvent the limitations of optical amplifiers to withstand very high intensities of light, which effectively caps the intensity of amplified short pulse. So, let me get this straight. Because capacitors, you can get extremely powerful, wow. I mean, like, super damn powerful. Look at this shit, guys. You can't make it up. It's right there. A technique of amplifying short laser pulses to extremely high peak power levels, up to 1 petawatt. What the hell's a petawatt? That's like so many watts. A petawatt, that's like a quadrillion watts. That's 10 with 15 fucking zeros behind it. Bro, you can't even imagine a petawatt. But the thing is, it's just like what I just told you guys. That's why I spent all this time talking to you about the subwoofer thing. The capacitor you have what's called, when you need dynamic headroom for a subwoofer. All right, let's say you're not listening to rap music. Let's say you're, damn, Hawaii real estate has already taken in over $1 million. Bro, I'm lucky if I make $600 a month. God, I'm so screwed. I need to invent a flux capacitor, really fix it. Help me with that, please. Anyway, so in order to have that dynamic headroom, and you're playing, some Tchaikovsky or some, Bach, when it's all quiet and everything, it doesn't require a lot of power. But whenever every single instrument is playing at full volume, everything is peaking, that's when you need those extra peaks of energy. That's when you burst out that energy. That is what the capacitors are for. That is what this chirped pulse amplification is. In fact, I'll prove it to you. Teramobile. Teramobile is the first mobile terawatt laser in the world for atmospheric studies. Now, a whole lot of people make a whole lot of big deal about Teramobile. What they don't realize is that, yes, it is a terawatt, but it is a femtosecond terawatt laser. Okay, let me blow that up real big so everybody sees it. The project aims at investigating nonlinear propagation of femtosecond terawatt laser pulses over long distance in the atmosphere and their applications for atmospheric research. So, what's a femtosecond? Well, how about we explain it like this? Scientists are about to fire up the most powerful laser in the United States. The most powerful laser in the U.S. right now is getting turned on to send its first pulses this week, enabling researchers to get a new level of insight into plasma physics and particle accelerators. Known as the ZEUS equivalent ultra short pulse laser system, ZEUS. Ooh, I like that name. It produces an ultra short, extremely powerful pulse of just 25 femtoseconds. So yeah, you can make a zettawatt. What's a zettawatt, you might be asking? A zettawatt, that's a big ass number right there. Why y'all making this hard? What is higher than a petawatt? A zettawatt. Or an exawatt. Oh Lord. Orders of magnitude. Look it up your damn self. It's a big ass number, okay? That's all I'm saying. A femtosecond is a quadrillionth of a second. Okay? So when we're talking about, the dude says it's going to take 8.8 seconds to melt an aluminum rim and 2.7 minutes of a 10 million watt laser firing. You have no idea the amount of capacitors and you would, all the batteries and all the capacitors in the world would not hold that much energy to keep 10 million watts streaming through a laser for 2.7 minutes straight. It just is not possible. There is nothing in space that can generate 10 million watt laser for 3 minutes straight. Okay? Just saying. Even with him trying to put these little caveats back in there about chirp, pulse, blah, 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 blah. It's all hocus freaking pocus, man. It's voodoo, man. Don't believe the voodoo. Oh my God. So yeah, this is what we're having to deal with here. So ZEUS can produce a whole lot. Now, what they're talking about here is right now the initial stage is going to require 30 terawatts or 30 trillion watts of power. But again, it's in its first phase, it's going to produce 30 terawatts or 30 trillion watts for only 25 femtoseconds. What is that? To put it another way, a femtosecond is to a second what a second is to about 31.71 million years. Okay? That's how small we're talking about. 1 second equal 31.71 million years. 1 femtosecond equal 31.7 million, no, 1 second equals 31.7 million femtosecond. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. It's an extraordinarily short pulse. Very high power, very, very tiny, very small. So is it powerful? Would that light a fire in that, flicker of a second? No. Not in a femtosecond. Not in a whole, not in 50 femtoseconds. Would not happen. So there's also this place called the National Ignition Facility, which managed to pull off 500 terawatts. Okay? It's right there. Can't make this stuff up. 500 terawatts. Big deal. Looks like Starship Enterprise. Very creepy place. That's all I'm saying. Okay? So the National Ignition Facility actually has done fusion, and it does it the exact same way. Like using damn near all the power that the U.S. uses in a year in femtoseconds. Place looks like this. big creepy ass building inside the National Ignition Facility laser system. There's, the laser system's down here, and it all combines down here at this end and this big bubble, and they basically, can produce what's effectively like the star, like how, like what a star could do. But again, it's pretty complicated. Okay. So like
area building is the size of 3 football fields.
it's 3 football fields.
Inside are 2 parallel laser bays, each containing 96 beam lines.
Now it takes all of that to be able to produce that 500 terawatts. 3 football fields worth of place. But dude be like, well, we can put a 10 million watt laser with a couple of batteries and capacitors up in space. That's a thing. But ZEUS is much like, the follow on. There have been many other different places like this. I know there's one down in Kirtland Air Force Base, the Sandia pulse reactor, same kind of deal. Produces EMPs at like ultra, fast, really high output, really short time. So what we're looking for is we're looking for, damn it, weapon systems here, Jim. Can we stick to the story? I want to know about actual freaking laser beams, man. So for that, we're going to have to go to what's called the Department of Defense's High Energy Laser Scaling Initiative to just kind of get an idea of where we're at today in 2023. How about that? That's a pretty good start, wouldn't you say? I think so. So what are they saying? Okay, so Department of Defense invests an additional $47 million into high energy laser scaling initiative. In on April 10, 2020, the DoD selected General Atomics to be the 3rd primary contractor to join previously selected prime contractors from Lockheed Martin and nLIGHT Neutronics to build high energy lasers for the High Energy Laser Scaling Initiative, HELSI. Each will produce a 300 kilowatt, not megawatt, a 300 kilowatt class high energy laser source prototype with an architecture scalable to 500 kilowatts. That's half a megawatt. Half of 1 megawatt. You still need 9.5 more megawatts to get to 10 megawatts. Just so we're all on the same page here. So this is where the DoD is at. $48 million for nLIGHT, $83 million for Lockheed Martin, and $47 million for General Atomics to come up with a freaking laser beam that can do the damn job. So what do they come up with? Well, Lockheed Martin won a $220 million bid. This is actually just posted August 5th, 2023, to build the most powerful laser gun on Earth. On Earth, not in space. Most powerful laser gun on Earth. We're no longer talking about laboratory physics and a bunch of nerds shooting femtosecond. We're talking about sustained, damn Star Trek, aliens, Ripley with the, shooting the laser beams, that kind of stuff. All right. And what do they say? Well, they're in a press release released last month. Lockheed describes how it will build a new 500 kilowatt class laser for the Department of Defense's High Energy Laser Scaling Initiative. Okay, well there you go. That's kind of small. I mean, like I'm very underwhelmed. So you don't believe me? It's right here. Lockheed Martin to scale its highest powered laser to 500 kilowatts power level. July 28th, 2023. Now, don't you think Lockheed Martin, if they could build a 10 million watt laser, they would do that? And the reason I ask is because, for obvious reasons, like, like, how about this? Maybe I want to shoot down some freaking planes and not just drones and stuff, but and the success may not be far off. A 2019 report by New Mexico's Galaxy Advanced Engineering suggests that a laser in the megawatt range, 1,000 kilowatts, would be required to put sufficient power, about 5,000 joules per square centimeter, on a target to shoot down an airplane. The problem is, gentlemen and ladies, nobody can do that yet. Otherwise, they'd be shooting down planes with lasers right now. So, nobody so far has been able to make a 1 million watt laser on the ground to shoot down planes with a sustained power powerful enough to shoot down planes. But let me get this straight. The Chinese, with their batteries and capacitors, are doing 10 million watts from space. But Lockheed Martin, this other company, nLIGHT, I'll show them all to you. I did my homework. nLIGHT over here, nLIGHT awarded $86 million contract to develop high energy laser. And they say right here that their coherent beam combined architecture to produce 300 kilowatt class high energy laser as a part of the first phase of the HELSI program, that they've in 2022, nLIGHT demonstrated power exceeding HELSI program objectives and the scalability of our CBC architecture. Now, to be clear, when they say something like that, they actually mean they were asking for up to 500 kilowatts. In 2022, nLIGHT demonstrated power exceeding HELSI program objectives. So that means nLIGHT was able to make it to 500,000 watts and potentially higher. How high? We don't know. And neither does Steve Favis, but that's not the point. The point is we're still in the, I'll be generous and say these guys might have been able to come up with a megawatt laser, maybe two. But the thing is, how long can you sustain that beam? How long can you sustain the beam and direct it and keep it at full power, RMS power, not just pulsed for a femtosecond or even a nanosecond. It's got to be pulsed for like 5, 10, 20, 30 seconds. Don't believe me? Well, let's just look at some, this fancy ass video by Lockheed Martin where they say, directed energy, the time for laser weapon systems has come.
In this case, a laser weapon system.
Woo, that's a Raptor shooting a laser beam. I'm already getting a chub.
What we're hearing from our customers is that they need...
That is a ground-based laser that shoots down mortars, incoming rockets, and drones. But still, it's on the ground.
A layered, multi-domain defensive approach that
is on a boat, and in the boat, in some cases, has a nuclear reactor on board. Now those, you could power them to the moon. All the power in the world you need.
Can be integrated across platforms.
Imagine a nuclear freaking powered aircraft carrier. I agree. We want sharks with laser beams, but first we got to have a power source strong enough, okay? And it's got to get small enough. So we need, Tripp Smith's in chat. Tripp, I loved your album. Hold on. Everybody go check out Tripp Trigger. Get the damn thing out of the way. He's in chat right now. Tripp Smith. Tripp Trigger. I kept one in the sealed up. He sent me 2 of them. Activist sent me this Tripp trigger reloaded. Freaking epic. I mean, it's old school. It's epic. Pretty good stuff. Check it out. Just giving you a shout out, dude. I'm gonna give you a shout out live on the air. But he's in chat right now. TRIPPSMYTH Tripp Smith from Tripp Trigger. Trying not to get the light on there. Y'all go check his stuff out online. Thanks for sending me the CD, by the way. I play it on my way to work. The only place I have a CD player. My new computer doesn't even have a freaking CD player. I have like a plug-in Blu-ray burner that, sits in a case. I mean, it's hard to find CD players nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Love you, mean it, bro. Keep rocking. Really good music, though. Back to this thing. Let Lockheed Martin tell you. Because, they're going to brag and they want to make contracts. And if they could make a 10 million watt laser, they'd be saying so because they want to make that money. Am I right? I'm just saying.
To neutralize these threats across all those domains.
Am I the only one seeing that? Like literally, even in their video, the rocket didn't blow up. That was an air-to-air missile. That was a missile that was coming at another plane. And the F-16 is shooting the laser at the rocket and it disables it. But it doesn't blow up. Come on, man. Come on.
We were able to integrate our laser weapon system, Athena, into the classified C2 network.
I see that blew some shit up. That blew some shit up. The Athena system is one of the anti-missile systems. Some of you may have heard of Israel's Iron Dome system, which is another one of these systems where they have ground-based lasers that can. Thank you for linking to his stuff, Mark. Appreciate that. Now that is straight up. ReverbNation.com/Tripp Smith. TRIPPSMYTHE. Check them out. All right.
Receive cues from the radar on the range in order to execute the full kill chain.
Pew, 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 shooting lasers.
Laser weapon.
I wouldn't want to mess with that ship. That's all I'm saying.
So what's exciting about this technology is that it's scalable. It's lived in the laboratory for many years, but has finally reached the power levels and the effectiveness to allow it to be used on the battlefield. As an example, today's laser weapon systems can be used to defeat rockets, artillery, mortars, and even small UAVs.
Rockets, mortars, and even small UAV from the ground. But still not powerful enough to shoot down planes. He ain't saying that because you need 1 million watts. You need a megawatt laser and you need to be able to focus it on that plane for long enough to be able to burn a hole in it. Come on, people. I could play the rest of it, but you get the point. They show all of these systems right here. As you can see. Ground laser weapon system, iron beam collaborator, Demos system, high-powered microwave systems for drones, Morpheus, the Helios system for naval laser weapon systems, and airborne laser weapon systems, AHEL and TALWS. You can download the papers on all of these and look at them, or go see the individual videos. Tactical Airborne Laser Weapon System. None of these are powerful enough to do what he's talking about from space. And that's really my point with all of this. If you go on and you look at the other one, so yeah, nLIGHT, they've got somewhere between 500 kilowatt, maybe a megawatt. I don't know if they've reached that yet or not. But they're definitely not saying so. They're just saying, we've exceeded what they said they wanted with HELSI, which was 500 kilowatts. That's half a megawatt. And you can see it directly on their page here, nlight.net /aerospace defense, directed energy. We do that. And we use coherently combined lasers and beam control systems. Each of these are different systems, by the way, and I forgot to mention that's on this paper here. nLIGHT will be using a coherent beam combined technology. Lockheed Martin will be using a spectral beam combined fiber laser. And General Atomics will be developing a distributed gain laser prototype. So all three of these are different types of lasers that are directed energy weapons, okay? They're built differently, and they're going to have different outputs, and they're going to have different efficiencies. And when you got beam control is key. How long can you control that beam? Is there scattering? What is the longest burst of energy that you can sustain without burning up the equipment, because a lot of heat is generated as well. There are so many factors. Heat's not really a factor in space, but regardless, there's nobody on the planet currently on the ground, no defense, developer who's even come close to what this guy's talking about the Chinese have in space. And I still go back to the keep it simple, stupid argument. Wouldn't it be so much cheaper just to pay a crackhead? I mean, literally give him $5 and some gasoline and say, go have a nut. Go have a nut. I don't really know how to take that, Dave Holly. I don't know how to take that. I so miss Mike Morales. He actually called it like it is. I love Mike Morales, and I think he did call it like it is, but there's always going to be a hater. There's always going to be a hater. Do you see car bonnets burnt through and engines disintegrated? Yeah. And that's why on Harold Saves page, which I'm going to link to it again in chat. This is what I said. I'm sticking to it. If you don't know physics, if you don't understand weather, this is going to be way to fuck over your head. I give up on you. But the real cause of the Maui wildfire disaster by Cliff Mass Weather Blog. I talked about what's called the fun effect, of how air acts when it's going over a mountain. Okay. And this is basically what happened during it, that the wind coming in rushed down the mountain. And that's what caused the extreme heat and pressure and speed at which the fire burned. Period. I mean, there's no arguing about this. That's what happened right there. Now, there's going to be everybody that wants to speculate, hey, but laser beams, but, it was, the Illuminati, the 15-minute cities, all of these things. At the end of the day, I'm not going to get into all of that because somebody else can talk about it. You know what I mean? I'm not an ambulance chaser. It's not my gig. But hearing people saying silly shit like, don't forget the CPA method. because, you know, charged capacitors could, you know, and they had a rocket big enough, and, you know, it was over top of it when it happened. I know y'all. I know that people aren't this dumb. I know people aren't this dumb. Now, a lot of people, they just, you know, when you're addicted to fear and you like scary shit like that, that's your thing. You know, you're going to get into it. Go for it. That you do you. All right. I'm going to put it like that. You do you. But me, I don't believe for one damn second that the Chinese have a 10 million watt laser in space and that they fired it at a rim of a tire for 8.8 seconds. I mean, it's just inherently dumb. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. Man, God, man, come on. Were there some weird shit going on? Yeah. Somebody mentioned toluene. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Oh yeah, this is 6 days ago. So, riddle me this. Trace amounts of toluene detected in Upper Kula water system, September 11th, 2023. So now they're finding toluene on Maui, which is a hell of a let's just say accelerant, highly poisonous, unsafe water advisory for all of these areas, water treatment plant here. There's a whole lot of shenanigans going on Maui right now. And this is just the latest. But yeah, now the water's full of VOCs. What are you going to do about that? I don't know. I don't know what to even say about that. But if you think that the Chinese launched a freaking satellite to shoot a 10 million watt laser beam at the rim of this tire, then bless your heart, as we say in the South. Bless your heart, okay? I'm not buying that bullshit. I never will. Get a Berkey. I got a Berkey. Dom. If you don't have a Berkey water filter, I don't know what you're doing. We got the Berkey water filter. I swear by my Berkey water filter. I carry it with me when I go to the beach. I take it everywhere because it's portable. And we fill it up every single day. You know, I think we got the 3 or 5 gallons. We got the Royal Berkey, I think it is. Berkey filter. We got the good Berkey. If y'all haven't ever seen a Berkey, that's the one I got right there. And it is the global standard. Not to mention it's absolutely beautiful and worth every single penny. Lawsuit against Berkey. What the hell you talking about, bruh? Yeah, no, I heard that they're being real dicks about it right now. Yeah, we got the Royal Berkey, 3.25 gallons. It's kind of expensive, I admit it. You know, $400 to $500, but you know, it's worth every freaking penny. Because I don't have to go out and buy, you know, just like tons and tons of stuff. Not to mention the filters. They're trying to claim pesticides in the Berkey filters. What? There's silver in the filters. The EPA has. Shut up. Let me look this up. Berkey filter lawsuit EPA. Berkey water filter sues the EPA. This is backwards. Let's see what that's about. Filed a lawsuit against the EPA this week, seeking to stop its unjustified treatment and perceived persecution of Berkey water filters based on the EPA's decision this year to treat Berkey water filters as though they are pesticides rather than water filters. They done lost their damn mind. Oh my God, man. For more than a quarter of a century, Berkey has provided water filters for the public, providing an effective economical means of removing contaminants, harmful contaminants from freshwater sources for consumers to clean water their home on the go. In fact, the entire generation has grown up with Berkey filters in the kitchen. If the EPA wants to regulate gravity-fed mechanical water filters, it has a process to follow at the very least. Berkey filters has never caused any harm to anyone, and the removal of Berkey filters from the market inexorably means that Berkey owners will not be able to replace the filters in their systems, and therefore the demand will be met by untested knockoff and counterfeit filters that claim to be replacements that provide the same benefits when in fact they do not. Yeah, this sounds scandalous. This is freaking scandalous. No, I mean, dude, the damn Berkey filter is phenomenal. Oh, and they really don't like the fact that you can get a fluoride remover add-on for the bottom. I don't know what they got against that, but check out Kangen filter. I will do that. It looks too complicated. What is that? What the hell? Why are they making it hard for me to find it? What is Kangen water? I don't want your cookies. See, what's all this fancy shit? Just show me the filter. Okay, now, Ryan, come on, bro. Drop me a link. Anyway, let's see what the chat is saying. I'm calling shenanigans on this. I'm gonna have to look further into this, but based upon environmental working groups, tests found that travel Berkey systems remove toxic PFAS to below detectable limits. On June 7th, 2023, popular consumer health advocate Mike Adams recommended Big Berkey system, reporting that they removed an impressive 99.99% of radioactive cesium-137. However, EPA Region 8 is actively working to make these systems unavailable to the American people. Yeah, I've seen review after review after review about the Berkey filters, and I stand by it. I'm going to continue to. I obviously need to go and buy some extra filters to go ahead and stock up on those before EPA get big mad. But yeah, they can kiss the crack of my ass because I like my damn Berkey filter, and it's been a game changer. Let's just put it that way. So, that being said, no way to prove what's on those 2 Chinese satellites that flew over or even close to Maui. The likelihood that there is a 10 million watt laser in space, 0 to none, very, very, almost impossible. I'm willing to bet my left testicle on that. And if it were possible, it would take an extremely powerful, generator, to say the least. And I don't see how you pull that off right now, considering if they could make a, I mean, serious. Yeah, Harold's got a Berkey for the fluoride filtering. I mean, everybody, EPA's up being scandalous. What a bunch of crock of crap. What a crock of crap. Concept objects in chat. Just wanted to state real clearly, because a couple people asked me about the whole Dr. Shiva thing. I was really hoping to get deep into the weeds with Dr. Shiva on some of the finer details of, toxicity of metals, try to do some math, have a little math game with him going, 1.5 million gallons per year, 137,000 flights per day, all that stuff. Not going to bet a tooth. That's cold. That's just cold, Barb. No, I'm not going to bet a tooth. I did get the top teeth. I got them fixed up, and they're ready to rip the bottom ones out. I'm still trying to save the money for that. I did go for the consultation, and the prick goes, at your age, what I would suggest is not doing the 2 implants, but instead doing 4 implants and getting an entire piece made. And we actually hold it in with 4 screws. And I looked at him, and I was like, and how much of that cost? And no shit, you cannot make this up. With a straight face, this dude looks me right in the eye, and he's like, well, it's the best option, and it's going to be $27,000, which I think, when you consider over a lifetime, that's perfectly reasonable, and you should really consider it. In fact, since you only have 5 teeth in the top, what I would do is I would go ahead and have those removed as well. And that way we could do the exact same procedure on the top, and we could build your entire jaw at the same time and make sure that they perfectly match up. That would be a good thing, especially for your ability to eat and chew, and speak. And I looked at him and I said, $54,000. $54,000. I'm on Medicaid, bro. I said that when I came in the door. Like, you really got the balls to look. And he was dead serious. Like, dead ass serious. And the worst part is, I went to my dentist. My dentist filled the cavities in the top and got it all touched up. No more little brown spots. Everything's looking nice up top on my 5 teeth I have left up top. So I'm good to go. I put my little, partial back in, fitting tight as hell. I'm like, oh yeah, this is nice. Very, very nice. And all I'm going, and they send, and because, I'm armed security guard and it's very hard to take a day off, I scheduled my meeting with this other nut the same day. So I'm assuming that I'm going to meet the person who's actually going to do the surgery to do the implants, because that's what I was told. And I go there and they're like, well, we need to take another 3D x-ray of your whole damn head so that we can make the determination. I'm like, but my dentist is also the same company. Y'all got the same name on the front door. Y'all got the same x-ray machine. They just did one down the street, and y'all couldn't bring that down here. Why are you doing another one? Anyway, so they do another scan. We have this conversation, and then he goes, you're going to need to actually go to this person because he's the surgeon that will actually be doing the procedure. So you need to have a consultation with him. And I'm going, let me get this straight. I came in here for a consultation with you, and the Blazer 55 with a $20 Canadian. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for the super chat. And I said to him, I'm like, dude, why did I come down here for a consultation with you that's costing me $260 just to say hi to you? And you're now going to send me to another person to have a consultation who's actually going to do the surgery. Why'd I even come to you? Like, why was I sent here to you? I mean, it's just a grift, dude. It's a grift after a grift. I'm like, I swear to God, if I go see this other dude, and then he's like, yeah, I agree with him. You know, that $54,000 option sounds great. And by the way, I'm going to need you to go over to this building because he's going to do the tops and I'm going to do the bottoms. And after we both done with, you know, double ending your ass, we're going to send you back to that other guy. And then he's going to do even more work on you because it's going to cost a lot of money. But yeah, I quit smoking. Already handled that. Proof right there. No more yellow fingers. Patch on my butt. Been over 2 weeks. I'm not losing my mind anymore. That's why I've been missing in action. I did, you know, take some time off, and that's that. I do get anxious. There have been some moments of weakness, but I am done smoking permanently, and I'm trying to work out. And eventually, yes, there's going to come a point where they're going to, next Friday, I actually go in for like, they're going to do like a mold or whatever of my bottom. And, I think so like 2 to 4 weeks after that, they might be like, removing all of my bottom teeth. So I'm gonna just I'm gonna be real with y'all. You know, I'm not, you know, like an egomaniac or anything, but I'm also not gonna come on here, trying to talk to y'all while I can't talk to y'all. So if I'm missing in action for a little bit, know that it's because Jimbo don't have enough teeth to talk. But there is a very good chance that somebody might say something stupid. Yeah, I am finished smoking. That is that. I'm never going to smoke again. I smoked weed for 20 years. I quit that like, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago now. And I finally quit smoking cigarettes. And I am done. And impression is what they call it. Harold says. Yeah, they're gonna do my impression next Friday. And then they said it could be like 2 to 4 weeks after that. And then they're gonna, you know, actually do the pulling and all that. So I'm, you know, anybody wants to help out, gibsongo.com/Jim Lee. There is a link on connect.climateviewer.com if you want to go to the Gibson Go and help out. Greatly appreciated. And thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough to everybody who has already donated. I do need to send out personal thank yous. I've been extremely overwhelmed lately. Trying to quit smoking quitting smoking while quitting sugar for the most part at the same time. So for those who don't know, y'all probably see me on the stream. Got a big ass Yeti cup, about, you know, big Yeti cup. I would fill that up with coffee, creamer, and sugar. I would take it with me to work. Remember, armed security guard. And I would sip that thing all day long. So I was literally like on a sugar drip the entire day. Because, you know, cigarettes and coffee, they just go together, man. So my wife really wanted me to get off the sugar too. The swear jar. So yeah, we quit the coffee with the creamer and the sugar in the morning, same time. I've never actually owned a Bitcoin in my life. I don't even know how to take a Bitcoin, which is absolutely insane. Because like I'm a programmer, I'm a hacker, like I should have figured out the whole Bitcoin thing by now. Go figure. Tell the dentist you want Demerol. Okay. I'm gonna have to Google that before I go telling him that. But anyway, yeah, I don't know exactly what's gonna happen with this because the numbers that they're throwing away are just absolutely crazy. I do have the Cash App. I think it's actually it's linked right there. I got PayPal, I got Patreon for monthly donors, Cash App, the Gibson Go /ClimateViewer. But if you actually go to there right now, like if I go to connect.climateviewer.com, which is linked at the top of the chat, you can just click it. It'll take you over here and you'll see that right now there's a help fix my teeth right here above the other links. So if you click that, it'll take you over there and you'll see what are we at? 3,100 of the originally they said between $7,000 to $11,000. Now they're talking somewhere around $13,000. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to hit that at this point. So, I mean, if I end up with a denture, I end up with a denture. That's just the bottom line. I mean, life goes on. At least that way I won't be worried about it when I go back to mixed martial arts. I can just take it out and be like, what you gonna do to this boy? You ain't gonna break none of this stuff, all right? I don't have any of that really expensive equipment in my mouth that I'm worried about. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it is. So anyway, I'm gonna continue to try to keep my sanity while literally being called a limited hangout by a famous author friend from this community because I just refused to bite the directed energy weapon bullshit over Maui. That was kind of like the lowest blow that I've received in a long while. I mean, I get it regularly in the comment section from, the drive-by morons who don't know, me or anything about the topic. They just believe everything that they hear online. And I could deal with 90% of that. But I mean, getting an email from, a person you've called a friend for a very long time saying, are you sure you're not a limited hangout? Is those are the moments where you really go, why the fuck do I even do this? I don't know. But at the same time, I still feel like I'm 100% right. But I don't hold out, the possibility that I'm infallible. So, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Chinese do have a 10 million watt laser in space because they're so damn advanced. More advanced than anything the United States military could ever build. And it's battery powered. It's solar powered. I just don't believe it. I don't see it. It doesn't seem realistic. And that's why I am putting this out there today. Okay? They learned the term and they tried it out on you. Pretty much. Maybe that's the case. That's possibly the case. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you've made it this far in the video. You let me know in the comments. What do you think? Does it make sense that the Chinese, according to Mr. Favis, Steve Favis, that they shot a 10 million watt, laser at a rim of a tire for 8.8 seconds and 2.7 minutes they painted a 1 mile line to start a fire, which there's absolutely zero evidence of a 1 mile burn mark anywhere on the devastation of Lahaina or anywhere near it for that fact. Or that it's more likely that it's probably, like so many other cases, arsonists. Because, you know, criminals. Because crazy. Because paid. Because all of the other reasons why that have been discussed on so many other, you know, channels, why this is special, expensive land that people could take advantage of. I believe the crackhead theory is much more believable than the, you know, do derp. Let's put it that way. If you believe the Chinese do derp, then, I mean, bless your heart. That's all I can say about that. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm a person who's a firm believer that, you know, we have directed energy weapons. They are used on people specifically more than any other target. We're using directed energy weapons right now. We've given them to the Ukrainians to use electromagnetic pulse weapons to like disable drones. We have systems to shoot down, you know, like 16 mortar shells in midair. We can do all of those things. Somebody could use a people cooker on Joe Biden to turn his brain into oatmeal to the point where he can't talk, like everybody's watching happen right now. Or, you know, Turtle up in the Senate, how he just like froze several times. It would not be the least bit surprising. And I'm going to throw my own little tinfoil hat idea out there. When you're a senator or a president and you have been privy to extremely top secret, you know, sensitive projects all over the deep state military industrial apparatus, that someone comes along and says, okay, they're about to get out of the office, or, oh, they're snitching, they're selling out to other countries. Why don't we just microwave his brain? Kind of like the Men in Black thing, you know, where they just, bling, and you forget everything. Yeah, they can cook your brain. You'll have brain cancer. That's realistic. Those things are real. That is scary as hell. But lighting fires from space with freaking laser beams is just dumb. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So with that being said, please use this information to attack ideas, not people. Like, don't fry people's brains with, you know, directed energy weapons, or, you know, you don't light fires with multi-million watt laser beams from space. Because if they had them, they'd be shooting down planes. That's all I'm saying. Love you, mean it. Catch you guys on the next one. If the video resonates with you, leave me a comment, because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.